Hey everyone, welcome to That's Dope. My name is Godswill and we have co-host Matt joining us today, and we have a special guest, my friend Mason Lieberman, who actually was one of the first people I met when I moved to Los Angeles. Brought me Five Guys, and helped me out like quite a bit actually, like as I've been here. But not only have you been a good friend to me, and you've kicked my ass in a lot of Smash. You are a wonderful music composer. You work for Tencent. You've done some great things as quarantine started, actually, like to help like do charity for the people who are suffering in quarantine. And I'm excited to ask you a ton of questions about all that. You're in the anime world, video game world, doing cool things, and you have a bigger fro than I could ever muster, I imagine. So I'm gonna get you. I need the tips because I don't know how to do froze. All I can do is the locks and trades. So
major props there. 100
sit-ups, 10-kilometer run every single day. That's how you get. But it's also how you lose. So be careful.
Okay, so I have to lose it to get it right.
I don't know. I was just going for the one.
I love it, man. So, honestly, thank you so much for joining the podcast. The funny thing is, like, a little even behind the scenes, it was hard to like try to schedule out things because it'd be like something happening to like either one of us. Like the first time for me, I remember, unfortunately, Chadwick Boseman died, and I was just like, I can't do this. And then what happened? Then you were moving, and then vacation, and then it's like, oh wait, can we do it this day? And it's just a lot of back and forth. But I'm glad that we are finally here.
Challenge, yeah.
It's all good. I'm happy, better late than never, and I appreciate you being patient with us as we've been trying to schedule this thing. So it means a ton that we get to talk.
Anytime. I'm always happy to be here.
Thank you. So,
and I'm happy to meet you, honestly.
Yeah,
I've heard so much about you, and here I actually get to sit and talk with you. So I'm pretty excited.
Hopefully
about
most
this
of
as
it's
well.
good.
From what I've heard,
like Smash Bros, it might not be good.
Oh no, you're a demon with Smash. I've actually never been. I feel like I've only beaten you like twice total out of like the 50, 100 times we might have played. So I'm excited to see like if like later on, like if we can play again, and maybe I've gotten better. Who knows?
I don't know. What have you been doing with your quarantine time?
A lot of Overwatch.
You better have been labbing, my dude.
But I have been playing quite a bit of Smash, like with some of my boys. So I've been putting in some time in the hyperbolic time chamber. We'll see how that goes, though.
I believe you. Keep turning up the gravity, my dude. You got this.
God, 200. We'll get there. So, the first thing I do want to ask you is, I guess, can you tell us more about yourself? Like, I know I left out a ton with that introduction, like on what you do, who you are. You are pretty storied, actually. And in fact, actually, you said you moved like to Los Angeles like a month or two before I did, right?
Yeah, no, I moved to LA in like August of 2019.
Wow, that is 1 month before me.
I think we're in September, right? Yeah. So I had only been there for like a month when you arrived.
That's crazy.
Fun fact, I actually didn't, I'm saying this for Matt and for the listeners' benefit, I didn't know Godswill when he moved to LA. It was actually a total coincidence that we met because we have a mutual friend named Chris, who's this huge, tall dude.
My literal big brother.
Amazing rapper, badass artist, performs under the name IQ. And we're both friends with him. And I was going to hang out with Chris because Chris doesn't live in the LA area. He's out normally in like Orlando back then.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in town actually helping Godswill move in.
Yep.
And Chris was like, yo, like come over to this address in like the middle of, what was it, Gardena or something?
Yeah, Gardena, yeah, which is pretty far out from a lot of people, ironically. I thought it was like in the middle of everyone, but no, it's far out from everybody.
It is the antithesis of that.
I know, right?
But he invited me out over to Godswill's place, which in retrospect, that is just weird, inviting a friend to hang out at someone else's house as they're moving in.
As they're moving in, I know, right?
Like, either way.
That's Godswill for you.
That's Godswill.
Honestly.
That's how so many people meet him that way.
Like, I helped him move a couple of things really quickly. And then we went over to Five Guys because he hadn't eaten in a while. And so, like, we grabbed burgers and it was great. And of course, we started playing Smash Bros. And we realized that we were like meant to be friends. We got along really well. And that kind of started like an ongoing friendship of playing Smash together, doing like weekend tournaments together, things like that. And it was great. And it has
Absolutely.
nothing to do with my career, I'm realizing. So I apologize for accidentally.
No. I'm actually I'm glad you set up the whole story, because I mean, it is a hell of a story too. I mean, the place was pretty empty. It was you and Justin who came through, and I thought it was strange at first, but I'm really glad that Chris invited both you guys, because I was like, bro, I don't even have couches really, like, or the TV.
You invited Justin.
I don't even know him either. Chris invited him. So I was just sort of like, and I just remember being like tired, and I was just like, bro, I don't know what's happening or who these people are, but if you say they're cool, they must be cool. And luckily,
They're
you
moving
guys
my
are cool,
stuff, so
right?
cool with me.
But to do like the proper introduction, hi, my name is Mason Lieberman, and I'm a composer for film and video game media. I also work in the anime industry. I'm the senior game audio coordinator at Tencent, and I handle a lot of the management and operations for the game audio department for North America. Some of my previous credits in game composition, music production, and performance include working on the Super Smash Bros. Franchise,
Wow.
working for Rooster Teeth on Ruby, the Beyblade franchise, Beyblade Burst Evolution / God. I was a songwriter and performer on Tower of God. I've performed on the soundtrack of Rising of the Shield Hero, music production on Zombieland Saga, Sadazan Mai, Robihachi. I produced the charity vinyls with Funimation, Sunrise, and Yoko Kanno and the Seatbelts for the Cowboy Bebop franchise this quarantine. I'm sure we'll talk about that later.
Oh, absolutely. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that, actually, because that was so hype.
Special guest artist on lead singles for Taeyeon, former lead singer of Girls' Generation.
Wow.
On and on. I'm mostly pulling all these from my website credits page because I barely remember any of them.
It was like go, right?
Like almost every single credit, with certain exceptions, a lot of these are things that usually you do most of that work in one day and you just get it done. And then you kind of forget that you did it until someone asks you about it.
Really? One day? I mean, they're really good.
Like every single one of these things. Like, obviously, I worked on Ruby, for example, for the better part of like a year and a half, basically.
Wow.
So that wasn't one day. And similar situations with like Beyblade and some of these other things. But like, a lot of the cases where I'm like a guest recording artist, things like Smash Bros, like I recorded for one day. And everything that I did was recorded on that one day, but that's just how it works when you're a session musician. You get a lot of stuff done really quickly. All the stuff I did for Warhammer Vermintide, I did, a ton of cues for them, working with two of the composers for that. But all of it was recorded in one day. So really, from my perspective, it's a very small time commitment.
That's so tight, though.
Oh, yeah. It's so much fun. I love working on that kind of stuff.
I guess
that's super cool.
For real. How'd you get started into this?
So I'll give you the real full backstory.
Ooh,
I was 3 years old. My parents showed me Disney's Fantasia, the original version.
Oh.
Because Fantasia 2000 hadn't even come out yet.
Back in my day, we didn't have 2000 Fantasia, right?
Have a sequel to this movie.
There was no 2000.
Right.
But yeah, we literally hadn't hit 2000 yet. But they showed me Fantasia, and with all the articulation that a 3-year-old can muster, I got really, really excited and told them I wanted a broom. They did not understand what that meant, but I kept asking for one. And over the course of 2 years, like this is like the sign that I was meant to do this. Because what 3-year-old to 5-year-old has this kind of memory span? I kept asking every single time. Fantasia became my favorite movie, and I would always ask my parents for a broom. And then over time, that started as my vocabulary evolved to become, I wanted to play with broom. And then I wanted to play broom. And finally, around when I was 5 years old, my parents took me to see a symphony orchestra, to what was basically like a petting zoo for kids with orchestral instruments.
Oh, that's cool.
Like a local event that community orchestra put on to help introduce young people to the orchestra and hopefully generate some excitement, get members in the local preparatory orchestra, that kind of thing. And of course, the second that the cello section, my first instrument, started playing, I like stood up and shouted and pointed. I was like, "That's the broom!" And
An epiphany.
my parents were like, "This little bastard wants a cello." And of course, you wouldn't usually buy a 5-year-old a cello.
About to say, I was
But
like, are
they
those
thought about it.
kid-sized cellos?
Right. I think
I
it's bigger than you.
Size cello. It was so tiny. It is the most adorable thing. It's slightly bigger than a viola for a frame of reference. But my parents were like, he has asked for this for such a long time and so regularly, we think he would actually play this. So they gave me a cello and I never stopped playing it. I've been playing my cello now for over 20 years.
Wow.
Nice. Wow.
And that led to me playing piano poorly, playing guitar slightly better, to singing, I would say decently, and on, and composing, also present.
Very many
nice.
talents, though. I
On
can't do any of
my
those.
Music career in general. My first credits were all, I did a film back before I even went to Berkeley. I started at a college in East Texas that I'm now faculty at, actually.
Wow.
Called Stephen Austin State University down in Nacogdoches.
Okay.
And I helped score a film down there, Joe Lansdale's Christmas with the Dead. Joe Lansdale being the author behind the cult movie/book Bubba Hotep. If you've never seen it, don't.
I was like, okay, time to go do some research. That sounds interesting.
I've heard of it. I have heard of it, but
I'm going to give you the world's summary of that movie because it's wild. Elvis decides that he wants to retire. And he's an old man now. He's somehow switched places with someone else. He's an old man in a retirement facility in deep East Texas. And also his best friend is like this also retired old guy, black guy, who swears that he's JFK and that they took his brain and switched it into another body.
Okay,
Also,
that took a
there's
weird turn.
All I'm saying is there's a reason it's a cult film.
Bubba Hotep, you said?
Bubba Hotep.
All
Bubba
right.
Hotep.
I got that in my notes.
I have nothing to say. Anyways, I did a film with that author when I was still at SFA. I was maybe 18 at the time. That was my first credit of any kind.
Wow.
And then I transferred to Berkeley. I began doing recording sessions to basically pay my way through college because there was a lot of work going on back then. And eventually I ended up, through random total dumb luck, booking the Smash Brothers recording gig around when I was 20. And on and on and on, just kept going. By the time I graduated, I had met Jeff and what would lead to my first real job postgraduate, which was being his assistant and ultimately composing for Ruby.
Wow.
Very nice.
That's awesome, bro. I like that a lot.
Now, I got to ask, do you have a broom collection now after all this time?
Of course.
Nice. Okay. I just had to know.
Gotta get the hand broom, medium-sized broom, industrial size, sweet
different kinds of wood.
Brooms. I have a 6-string broom, 6-string electric broom, 4-string acoustic broom, a backup 4-string acoustic broom that I keep in Texas with my parents.
Wow.
All the variation that you need in a world-class broom collection. The luthier behind my broom is based in Dallas. He was a great guy. Made some incredible instruments.
Cool.
That's awesome. The funny thing is, actually, I wanted to play cello when I was in middle school, but they put me in choir, and they're like, "Hey, just stick it out there. Maybe you'll like it." I did like it a lot, but I do regret not playing an instrument at all.
I'll be honest with you. Being a kid who played cello sucks. An adult who plays cello is awesome.
That's what I was thinking. It feels like it'd be tough, honestly, middle school, right?
There's a great comedy routine about it. I'm not going to rehash it and be unoriginal, but needless to say, it's kind of rough anytime you play an instrument that's bigger than you are.
Yeah.
And I was a pretty short kid when I was still in middle school, which just not the time that you want to be a small kid.
I know what that's like. Not
yeah,
fun.
Exactly. I was very young when I was in school. Like I graduated high school at 16. So I was
Wow.
always
Ooh.
really young, no matter what year I was in, because that offset basically happened in 4th grade.
Ah.
So like, yeah, I was screwed no matter what.
Yeah. Always gonna be
Being
the
an
young
adult who
kid.
plays cello is awesome. My girlfriend thinks it's like the coolest thing in the world. Um, it has always been, a really great thing that I could pull out, like when talking about on dates, things like that. And then just professionally speaking, it's very soothing to get to be creative and to have an artistic outlet like that. It's very satisfying, and I think it really reduces stress in a very tangible way that helps in situations like, the whole apocalypse thing we're all going through.
I
Right.
know, right?
Yeah, it's
Shoot.
a good trade to have in times like these.
Oh, absolutely. Especially like when a zombie apocalypse happens, we need music
Mhm.
players. You know,
Oh, yeah, when a
someone.
zombie apocalypse happens, that cello, the end pin comes out. It is a sharpened piece of metal. It is very
All right.
It's good range. It
I
probably
like
gives me
that.
at least one additional tile worth of reach. I'll take any
One
unit of
tile.
range.
Got the barred bishop over here. Hits in
I like
diagonal
that.
spots, right?
I've always seen myself as more of like a bard zerker.
Barred Zerker.
Berserker. Clever. I like that.
You have to have high strength in order to carry the cello, right?
Exactly. Yeah. No. The cello isn't really that heavy, but
I was wondering, like, it's
it's enough.
big, right?
Yeah, it's pretty big. It's not as big as like an upright bass, for example. But
Okay.
like when I fly, it gets its own seat.
Oh, wow.
It gets a seat that's usually nicer than my seat. It usually flies first class,
Wow.
and I hope that I'm flying first class.
For real, right? Just take
Like
up a
you get
whole.
first class or bulkhead, or it does not fly.
That's
Nice.
so awesome.
Gotta
That's
keep
so
that.
cool.
Got to keep that instrument comfortable.
You know the drill, man.
Because like I mean I have no clue about like playing instruments or anything like that at all, you know, like actually like what is your favorite instrument to play if you have one?
For actually playing, I think I get the most enjoyment playing electric guitar or bass. I really like. There's just something about them that's just satisfying to play. Like, it's not nearly as much physical effort as the cello is. But of course, cello is the one I played first.
First love right there,
Obviously,
right?
I think that singing is something that everyone really loves doing, but I almost put that in a different category in my head. So, like, when it comes to playing an instrument, guitar
Yeah,
or bass,
I dig that.
Okay. It's more metal. I get
it's
it.
more fun. I just really enjoy it. Like, I love playing bass live. I love playing guitar in studio. I love singing in general. That's the best way I can think to put it.
I need to listen to your singing tracks. Like like you did like pitch some vocals in on the charity aspects, right?
Technically, yeah.
Mhm.
On the My Hero Academia one, I'm the first vocalist on that section,
hmm
which wasn't because I wanted to be the first vocalist. It was because the intended first vocalist unfortunately couldn't join us due to scheduling issues,
Ah, that sucks.
which was a real shame because that would have been Justin Briner, aka
Oh,
Deku.
damn.
Like,
Oh wow.
he's been
Damn.
super supportive. He wanted to do it.
Yeah, but he's a
Like,
busy
we had
guy.
multiple times where we'd set it up to try and make it happen, but
Mhm.
like that's COVID life. Like,
It really is,
scheduling is
unfortunately.
hard. The organization is hard.
Yeah.
So we
And-
got to talk about that because I mean those, you know, actually I'm getting goosebumps again thinking about it. I'm like these were just so good and powerful. Both of these
Oh,
tracks,
yeah.
the My Hero and the Cowboy Bebop one. I'm not even sure really where to start. I guess the Cowboy Bebop one. I guess can you tell us about like how that even like got started and then like how that came to fruition?
Yeah, sure. So honestly, like everything else, it started from fairly normal circumstances. I posted on Facebook, hey, this was like, I think March 25th-ish. It was like right give or
Early
take
quarantine.
after quarantine started. I was
Mhm.
like, hey, as far as I can tell, like the entire music industry is basically out of work. I was lucky that working at Tencent, I was still employed, but most of my friends who aren't in video games inherently, who are just in music in general, a lot of them, their tours were getting canceled, their schools were shutting down, and we were all sort of in a holding pattern where we were all stuck at home. So I sort of put out a call on Facebook, yo, does anyone feel like collaborating on a track? I think that since there are so many people who are out of work right now, I could probably coordinate something with a lot of really cool guests who I wouldn't normally be able to get. And something like 150 people responded. Like, I have a very large professional network on that side, and just a ton of people reached out. And so
Wow.
from that, I kind of like handpicked like an army out of these things, culled it down to like 30 people. And I was like, all right, we're putting together like a huge rock band of 30 people, and we're going to do the real folk blues from Cowboy Bebop. Like, I just picked a song.
You
There
just
were
okay.
3 tunes that I'd thought about. One of them was from Persona. One of them was from Super Mario 64. One of them was Cowboy Bebop. And I went with the Cowboy Bebop one because I felt like that was going to be the coolest idea. Because I
That was
wanted
the right
to do this kind
choice.
of hip-hop, gospel-infused, real folk blues thing. Which, of course, is what we did, is how it ended up coming out. So I started producing that track. Basically, all of it got arranged, recorded, and produced more or less in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And then during those 2 weeks is when it started to grow. First came Raj Ramaya, one of the soundtrack singers from the Cowboy Bebop movie, and a friend of mine, collaborator from some other stuff. We both worked on like Tower of God and on Rising of the Shield Hero, Maiden
So cool.
Abyss. And like, once he came on, he helped introduce me to Sunrise, the original animation studio and music label that controlled the rights. And I reached out to them saying that I wanted to make sure we licensed everything properly, because I wanted this to be, you know, I obviously don't want to not be paying the original right holders or stuff. I always license my music properly when I do covers.
Nice.
But like, I wanted to go through things directly through them, because with Japanese copyright law, you basically need the original creator's permission to do covers like that. Like, they need to sign off. It's not the same as America, where you can serve like a notice of intention and kind of compulsory license things. So I reached out, and at the same time, I reached out to Funimation, who I've worked with for multiple years on like a music production, like contracting basis, where like I would do some like vocal production, things like that, for some of their English dubs for shows like Zombieland Saga and Sada Zanmai and on and on. Ad Astra, or Astra Lost in Space. That's things like that. And basically, I went up the chain of producers until I got in touch with the people who managed the Cowboy Bebop IP, and they said they'd reach out to Sunrise. And of course, I was already reaching out to Sunrise, so I think between the two of those things, I probably told Sunrise, maybe this is worth talking about. So I connected with one of the Sunrise music label side producers, executive producers, and I basically pitched him my idea. I told him what I wanted to do. I explained that I just wanted the license. I wasn't trying to do anything crazy. I just wanted to raise money for COVID relief. It was all for charity. And would they be cool with it? And they basically said, hey, we think it's a cool idea. We're showing it to Sunrise, the animation studio. Sunrise, the animation studio, reached out. They said, hey, we like the idea. We're going to show it to the original creators, because we can't sign off on this without Yoko Kanno and Yuho Iwasato, the original lyricist, having seen it and basically telling us we can do it, because otherwise they have contractual obligations too.
Wow.
And then what happened is about 4 or 5 days passed, and Yoko Kanno, the president of her company, emailed me through my website, and in semi-broken English basically said, hello, I am contacting you on behalf of Yoko Kanno. Yoko Kanno has heard that you wish to cover one of her songs. She thanks you for this. Yoko Kanno would like to know whether or not you would be interested in featuring her band, The Seatbelts, for this arrangement. Please let us know if you would be willing. We were thinking perhaps 8 measures or something minor. And of course, you know, at that point, the arrangement was mostly done. And I was like, do I really want to put more people? I'm fucking kidding. Like,
Yoko Kanno and a
Right?
seatbelt.
Come on.
You make room.
Yeah, offering to be on this track. Of course, I'm going to say yes. So I said, oh, absolutely. Send whatever you want, whatever format. I'll make it work. Just do whatever you need. And I had no idea what they were going to send, because they they didn't really tell me. They just said 8 measures long towards the end, quote. They didn't even say exactly where they were thinking or what they meant. So I had no idea if they were about to send me stems from the original project and be like, use some of these stems here, or if they were going to actually record something or whatever, play along. And what they ended up doing is they picked much longer than 8 measures, was more like 40-ish, give or take.
Oh, wow.
And basically they played the second half of Mega Ran's rap and all of Zed's final rap. And they just played through the end. Like, Kanno-san arranged something for that spot or had the players improvise, whatever way she chose to do that, put it all together and sent me that, as well as the footage of them playing together. The fun fact is they actually sent me the alpha of all of their parts edited in so that we just slotted it into the video. We didn't even need to edit their video footage other than I think maybe minor color correcting. Like they actually they put together their edits, all the things where their boxes come in and out. That was all them. They did that themselves.
That's the pros for you, man. That's nice.
It was a huge honor to get to collaborate with them. I still get to see Mai Yamane's Facebook posts every few days, and I love that because it's just a constant reminder of like, oh my God, I got to work with these people.
Got to work with this. That's legendary, bro.
And, like, we got to raise so much money. We raised like over $50,000 for COVID relief through this project. We sold almost 3,000 vinyls with this Cowboy Bebop project.
Wow, and that's impressive.
The vinyl was a last minute idea. I asked them if I could do that like the day before we launched the project.
Oh, wow.
Full release and a Funimation video release. Oh yeah, because we also partnered with Funimation. They put out the video.
Yeah, and it has 963.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, 963,000 views. Amazing. And then even on the Anime Lab, I don't even know too much about that, but 526,000.
Sister company of Funimation for Australia.
Yeah, Australian. Yeah, I didn't know that they would post it on a different channel, but I mean, combined, that's 1.3, 1.4 million people.
And I mean, there's millions more views, I know, on Chinese social media. It apparently got big over there as well.
Wow.
The record when it released on Amazon, we hit #1 rock album, #1 rock release in Japan on Amazon rock charts.
I was reading that and I was just blown away. Just like, I mean, it's absolutely deserving. It's an amazing piece. I was just wow, #1. That awesome.
Was wild because I've had, God, this feels so weird to say. I've had albums and records that hit #1 on various charts before. This is the first time I've had it where like the album art says my name front and center, Mason Lieberman presents. Like, it is very much my child, because like I've done it on things where I performed, like the Taeyun thing hit #1 in like 25 countries earlier this year.
Wow.
But I was a cello player and arranger on that. It's not really the same thing. I'm not Taeyun. The Ruby soundtrack, it has always done really well, and the volumes that I worked on, volume 3 hit #1 on iTunes albums for all genre.
Wow.
And that's really cool. And #2 hit, I think, #1 for soundtracks. But like, again, I wasn't the lead composer of Ruby. I was a composer working on Ruby, and that's different. This is the first thing that I personally made that was like my musical idea, my arrangement, my production, my coordination. That's
your baby, man.
For real.
Exactly. And it led to me getting to do basically the same thing with the My Hero Academia franchise, like 3 months later, collaborating with Yuki Hayashi and Guthrie Govan and like 80 special guest artists on that one. It was insane. Tina Guo, Austin Wintory, Jun Senoue, the audio director of Sega, like on and on and on. This just goes so wild.
It's wild.
Man, like I'm geeking out. Just like Yuki Hayashi. I mean, I was just listening to, You Say Go, or You Say Run, in the My Hero Academia, like
that was
like
what
OST. Was that?
Yeah, we arranged You Say Run. And like it was incredible. Like Chris Sabat sings on it. Like
I was shocked. I was like, what? You got him to sing on this? This is.
We got everyone basically.
Oh my God.
Like Casey Lee Williams from Ruby sings on it. Like we got saxophone from Patrick Bartley, the J Music Ensemble. Like so many amazing artists showed up for this charity release, and they did such a great job. It was such a huge honor to get to work with that many awesome musicians. And I mean, that's really what most of this is about. Like at the end of the day, we go into these fields because we love this art. I love anime. I love video games. So like, I just want to do cool things with those properties, with those musicians, with those artists, and collaborate with people who I love. And that's it.
It's amazing. And I'm really grateful that you did these things, because I mean, these pieces blew me away when I first heard them. And you know, they did good things for people. I'm shocked like how you were able to organize so many people and to get so many big names into this and to do such an amazing thing. You know, definitely was one of the bright spots of the year. Two times, you know, like you did back to back. And you got like, you did it. I mean, it's so dope. Like it means a lot that you did that. Like I'm geeking out about it. I geeked out when I first saw it. And you know, I'm geeking out still right now, like that you even were able to manage to bring in so many people to do something. It's, you know, bravo. Like I kudos. I'm really glad that we got to talk about it here.
Truly a pleasure, truly an honor. I'm grateful to get to do what I do and to get to work with the artists I've gotten to work with. They are amazing, talented people, and there's no world where I could have done even an inkling of what we accomplished on these things without all of their support and all of their help and all of their talent. So, I mean, it is, in the truest sense of the word, a group project. The music videos are incredible. I do not edit video whatsoever. So, like, absolute mad shout outs.
I was wondering who did that.
Zed Tabani, Red Rapper, the guy who had the final rap on.
Oh, wow. He rapped and did the music editing? That
was on both tracks. Same group of rappers on each one. And he does the music video edit. Dallas Crane, who's one of our orchestration and music preparation guys, does the graphic effects and also helps with the editing. So like, it's absolutely like, it's a team ensemble effort.
How hard is it to do, especially like these quarantine versions? Like it seems like it'd be so hard to get like, I guess like 30 different music pieces, raps, and you know, you play guitar and you're playing piano and I guess video and all that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I won't say that it's easy, but
you know what you're doing, I guess, right?
Yeah, like this is what I do for a living. This is like my thing, so to speak. I manage and coordinate game audio for Tencent, which is the largest company in game audio. So like coordinating a lot of moving parts and getting people to do their thing is my thing. I would almost argue that I'm better at like project management, audio direction, and music supervision than I think I am at any of my sub-disciplines as a musician or composer.
That's a crucial thing. I feel like that's like the most important thing, to be able to bring people together to play amazing things, right?
Well, it certainly helps when your goal is to raise money for charity.
Right.
I'm really excited. The My Hero Academia vinyl just finished its run. Those vinyls will be distributed towards December, give or take, pending any delays by COVID, which we obviously had delays from COVID for the Real Folk Blues one, so we'll see when it comes out.
Yeah, I know it's going to be a crazy time. Man, that's so awesome, though. I mean, congratulations. Like, it's really dope to hear these things. I mean, I already congratulated you when they came out, but to hear, like, the work that, you know, you put into it and then, like, just seeing the success once again, like, that's so impressive. I was blown away. I mean, you even, like, made the song like really like its own thing, you know, with so many different you know, rappers and different pieces of instrumentation, and it's just like, how'd you even come up with that?
That's always my goal with any arrangement or cover. I don't hide it, but not a lot of people know it. I also run a video game music kind of jazz arrangement collective thing called what do you call it? Tournament Dark.
Ooh.
And we do arrangements in like jazz and rock styles, video game and anime tunes. I actually won a Game Audio Network Guild Gang Award for Best Jazz Remix with one of my tributes to Persona 5 back in 2019.
Huh.
So
Can you
like,
send me these two, by the way?
I know, right? I want to hear all this.
hold on,
Man.
I will. I can link you right now while we're talking.
Please. Also, what's it called one more time?
Tournament Dark.
Tournament Dark Google. I was about to call it Dark Tournament.
I mean, if you want, I don't know how your audio is routed. I'm copying a link right now.
Okay.
And you can even play this while we're talking.
Oh, sweet. Okay, definitely would love to. In fact, actually, I think I will also edit all of this that way we can have more of this playing.
Oh yeah, you could have these going in the background or whatever. It would probably work.
Ooh, I'm listening to it, and oh yeah, here we go.
But yeah, so like, doing arrangements is a thing that I love doing, and for me, I only arrange songs that I really love, but where I could see something that I feel could have been done differently or better. Like, I'm not the kind of person who can do a song the exact same way that it was done originally. Because if I think that it's a perfect song already, why arrange it? Like, I already have my favorite version of that song. Usually when I'm arranging, I'm just trying to create whatever I would think would be like the coolest way to hear that song. So like, when I did Lifeline from Super Smash Bros., I just wanted to like make it harder rock because I love listening to that kind of thing. And I wanted to hear Casey singing on it. So I grabbed Casey. With this one, I brought in like a jazzier style because I wanted to do kind of a club thing.
Yes.
With the Real Folk Blues, what I was kind of going for was that like, if Cowboy Bebop, and it's funny because this is like by far the biggest complaint and positive point people had on this arrangement was like, there have been a bunch of people who are like, oh my God, I love the rapping. It's my favorite part. And there have been a bunch
purists,
of,
I bet.
I wouldn't say purists. I would probably mostly say racists.
Oh yeah.
Like, I loved it until rapping showed up. I hate rap. Sorry. And like, it just blows my mind because I'm like, if Cowboy Bebop was made right now, you know what the music genre would be for all of it? It would be hip-hop.
Absolutely.
So clear. Like, this entire show is completely based and built around this melding and fusion of Japanese aesthetic and Western aesthetic with a particular influence and emphasis on like Black musical genre in America. Wow. So of course it would have this. Like, the next show that Watanabe-san did was
Samurai Champloo. Like, that's exactly what I was about to say. I was like, how can you say like that hip hop doesn't belong when the next show he did was
like, of course, like, so from my perspective, it made, and also if you're talking musically, like, I would argue that hip hop and rap and a lot of those genres that we traditionally underclassify in the Grammys as like urban without really discussing them whatsoever, almost all of them stem from the musical heritage and history of jazz, of funk, of blues, of these American art forms, these Black art forms that were part of what Watanabe-san was looking to kind of analyze and address in the feel and culture of Cowboy Bebop. It is core to the experience.
Absolutely.
So, to me, it always made perfect sense. I was like, oh, of course, if I'm going to do Real Folk Blues, we're going to do it with rappers, because why wouldn't we? Like, that's like the point. Like, the point is that we would want to take that on.
Yeah.
And it's the way that we can take a moment to say something with this music and about this show that we wouldn't have gotten to do otherwise.
Yes.
Plus, if I'm totally honest, like, I love the first 4 minutes of that song. I think that it's one of the like tightest songs in anime. Mm-hmm. And then the last 2 minutes where it basically becomes like an ambient jam band section, I've always really enjoyed it as a musician because it's really talented musicians doing their thing. But I always wondered, like, what would happen if that section were just as focused and organized and like straightforward as the first 4 minutes were? Like, what would that be like if we had 2 more minutes of song form in there instead of 2 minutes of improv?
Right.
That's kind of where this came from. That was the idea.
I like that. And also the lyrics were really like inspirational too, like in both in both sets of songs. Like actually, like it, like just like that little extra bit that I wasn't expecting. It was just like, whoa, what's happening? And then like it really made me listen to what they had to say, and I loved it.
Rappers that we've got. For those who don't know, we worked with Substantial, world-class rapper known for his collaborations with Nujabes, aka the composer of Samurai Champloo. He had Mega Ran, nerdcore icon.
Oh yeah.
And had Zedani, who is one of my favorite rappers, absolute killer. Also plays fighting games like a boss in the LA area. Godswill knows him as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice.
And like all three of them are huge anime nerds. So this is something they love. It wasn't just them coming in to do a gig or something
that they didn't know about.
Like they all love Cowboy Bebop. They all love anime. They all love Yoko Kanno. So they all had things to say about the property, but then also, you know, we're in a very difficult time, a dark time.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that I wanted for us to do Real Folk Blues is it felt like maybe a chance for us to take a very dark, kind of sad song and inject a little bit of hope through it.
Yeah.
And kind
it absolutely came through.
Yeah, exactly. The fan response has been stupendous. I joke about the people complaining about the rap section or whatever, but we're talking about like 0.1%. Like it is the tiniest number of people.
It always sucks like when those like the small minority stands out, you know, like 100 people could say, or 99 people could say something great, and that one person just like you just sort of focus on that, right? And sucks, but yeah, I mean, I loved it, and I think most people really loved it, and yeah, honestly,
I feel
haters,
like
right?
Been really lucky with the response. People have been so kind.
Oh yeah, I mean, you breathe, you know, your own life into this. You know, you made it its own entity, separate from the original, but in keeping with the original. You know, but at the same time, I feel like the hope that was injected was exactly what people need to hear. You know, in times like this. So it just really hit all the right notes at the right time. Because I mean, it shook me. It was great. I was really impressed, and I'm glad that it had such an impact on so many people, and that it was able to reach so many people. You know, 1 million views. So that's just great.
It means a lot. Exactly. I mean,
it's an honor. It's truly an honor. It's something that we're keenly aware of how unlikely that was. Right before this released, like the vinyl release technically premiered on Crates at midnight, and of course no one knew about it because we didn't post the link until the 8 a.m. when the Funimation video came out. But like we didn't think anyone was going to pay attention to this, to the point that like I was shooting this link to my friends like, yo, if you're going to grab one, grab it right now before anyone sees this, so that hopefully the first people who see this tomorrow think that there's momentum.
Yeah.
And like,
it's sort of like putting the money in a tip jar, and then it's just sort of like, oh wait.
What we were doing, we're like, quick, grab a copy so that people will think people like this.
Yeah.
It turns out they like it, and we were like, oh, we feel silly now. Like we were worried about whether or not we would even hit our total goal of 100 vinyl sold. And we hit it within 32 minutes.
Oh my God.
Wow.
We ended that day over 800 vinyl sold.
Wow. How was that feeling?
That was 800 more vinyl than I've ever sold. So, you know, it was really cool. I went from having never had my music on vinyl that I'm aware of prior to that point to I've been on like 3 or 4 vinyl releases this year.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's like not like we know quarantine like is a horrible thing. And then like this pandemic has been horrible, but you know, I'm really happy that seems like your year has been going pretty swimmingly so far. I mean, you got,
I mean, I would say that it's been a rough year for everyone.
Yes.
But artistically speaking, it is what you make of it. Like, I think that a lot of us, even those of us who haven't lost our jobs, are still facing, you know, new realities in our workflows that sometimes result in more time than we previously had access to. I'm not having to commute, for example.
Yeah.
I used to travel a ton for work, and right now,
I'm not going anywhere. Right?
Passport doesn't get me anywhere. So like there's time that I didn't have before, and I thought about it and I was like, well, I want to use that for music. I want to use that to make things that I will remember with my friends and not just be sad and depressed about the state of the world and focus on that.
Yeah,
Because
right.
otherwise, the world is in a really bad spot. It is a really hard time. And like you'll never get out of the spiral if that's the only thing that you're able to see and focus on.
And
It's
that's
true.
For me, at least, as someone who doesn't currently suffer from depression, who doesn't have any current mental health issues that would force me to have to deal with those things, it is within my agency to focus on the bright side and try to create benefit, create light, create whatever you have, make it a better year in some way.
I love that. Also,
Mm.
by the way, I'm listening to the music like just like on low as you talk, and it's just such a mood. I'm listening to Zelda's Lullaby right now. I just finished a
Oh,
Persona 5. I'm just geeking out like Loki. I'm like,
oh
oh
yeah,
my
the
god, this is also great.
Lullaby, Zelda's Lullaby, the featured guest on that track is John Robert Motz, who of course sings and plays trumpet on the My Hero track, as well. I believe
Oh,
he played some horns
Man,
on Cowboy Bebop, perhaps. I don't
full
remember if he did.
circle.
wow.
He's definitely on My Hero Academia though,
That's so tight.
and he does a great job. He's a killer singer, BAFTA-nominated composer, um, brilliant artist, really, really talented. Games like For the King, um, Wander Song, um, I think Gunpoint, Smoke Point, something like that. There's a
Cool
lot
name.
of really cool games he's worked on. Ambition, um, and so it's always a joy to collaborate with him. He also runs the Game Brass Ensemble, so they do like
Ooh.
brass arrangements of your favorite video game tunes. They've been doing a video every week for the entire summer. They're all amazingly edited. And I'm like, how are you doing this every week? Good God, man.
Right.
Sleep? Because like I know how many games he's also working on. Um, just a really talented guy.
That's so awesome.
That is awesome. And I can't wait to hear the music that you're listening to over there at
Mhm.
God's Will. So
Yeah. I'm just
after
like,
this, you'll definitely have to send that over. Actually, no, I can just follow the link in the chat.
yeah.
But
I'll be posting this if this is cool. Like when
Yeah.
the video comes out. Cool.
I mean, if you want to, you can also throw a link to the other charity project I have running right now.
Ooh, what you
Yeah.
got going on?
So God, there's been so much.
I'm saying, I'm like, wow, I didn't even got to ask you questions about like Tencent yet, but like I'm really enjoying these charity and like all these projects that you've been doing this year. Like what else is going on? Like now you got me hyped up again. I'm like, ooh.
So last year actually, I partnered with this Japanese charity called Animator Supporters
Ooh.
to produce a special anime song, basically, for raising funds for this housing program. They provide housing for low-income animators.
Oh, I had heard about that.
The
Yeah, like
Animator
animators aren't
Project.
getting.
Yeah, no, it's rough over there.
Mm,
But I partnered with them to help basically bring attention to the issue and to raise funds for a project that would pay animators an actual living wage. Because like a starting animator can make like $280 a month. It's terrible.
oh my God,
280?
Like
My
living in Tokyo. Yeah.
that's awful.
Awful. And like it does not get better over time. There's a reason they burn out so quickly, why it's such a high stress work environment. On and on and on. So many
Jeez.
problems with anime production from that side of things. It's a very difficult medium to create and produce.
Man, which is a shame because I mean
Understandable.
we love this stuff. We want this stuff I want them to get paid more than I don't know, a lot of people because I love anime.
Right?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
biased. You work at Viz. I get it.
Yeah, all right.
And believe me when I say I understand too. I've worked on anime. But yeah, it's really tough. So what I did is basically it was kind of actually the funny things. The progenitor of all of these charity projects was doing this one last year where I partnered with 10 special guest singers from across the anime industry.
That seems quaint now, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's small compared to
The 80 you did for
and like
Right.
all of these people that I did on this track are people who I then later used in these other 2 charity tracks. So like it literally just looks like it's smaller and like a step backwards from a music production standpoint. But actually, no, it was just done first. It just came out the last because of
wow.
Right.
to do it. But we're making a special animation, an anime music video with this song. Original animation being produced by alumni from this program who've gone on to like direct on Attack on Titan and Osamatsu-san,
Wow.
Twin Star Exorcist, like great shows with high production values, and like Boruto, on and on and on. They're coming back basically to give back to the program that helped them when they were young.
Oh, that's crucial.
The program's been going on for
Nice.
9 years now. And so, yeah, like that, the kickstarting for that is going on, starting in the West right now as we speak.
Oh, please.
Very
Also, if you
cool.
could send me that link so I could post it on our pages, because that, I mean, I want to help those guys. I mean, we want to help the guys who make the stuff that we love. And it's sort of sad. No, not sort of. It is very sad that they're getting honestly mistreated, it sounds like.
I mean,
Oh,
anything
yeah.
you can do to help would be great. I mean, obviously, I'm trying to get it out through as many channels as possible to as many creators as possible, just so that we can try and raise this money to help them out and do what we can. They've got a video on the page. I just linked it to you directly.
Thank you.
That breaks down what the issue is. It talks about things. Did you know, like, anime production budgets are like 10% of what Disney pays their animation budgets?
Oh my
Like,
God.
Really?
For a frame of reference, 10%.
That's insane.
Right?
It's very sad just because anime is just such a big deal to all of us.
The world.
Content. Like, no one out here would say that anime is 10% as good as,
Right.
and I don't think that that means Disney needs to pay less. Far
Yes.
from it. I think
Right.
we need to
Come on.
find ways to accommodate giving animators what they're worth, because clearly they are creating a medium that impacts people very deeply and emotionally and that they love. Anyways, there's an original song for that track. You can check it out too. And I really hope that you enjoy it.
I'm
Awesome.
ecstatic to hear that, because I mean, anime and video games have been the thing that have kept me sane throughout this whole year, I would say.
Right?
Same.
Here. Shout outs to Paper Mario and the Origami King. What an incredible soundtrack.
Oh man, I heard that was a pretty good game.
The game is great. The soundtrack, oh my God.
That's where it's at.
Like, as obviously a nerd of video game composition and interactive scoring techniques, it's one of the more detailed systems I've seen in a while.
Oh wow.
And the amount of work that went into totally meaningless details most people will never even notice is just a reminder of why Nintendo are like the quality control kings. Like, you cannot out detail Nintendo on making something tight, and they're just like rubbing it in your face with the new Paper Mario game of just how much work they'll put into even things that aren't their largest franchise or their biggest particular release.
Awesome.
For games that they
Yeah, I'll
announce
have
like
to check
2
that
months
out.
in advance, it's wild.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check that one out personally. Just a quick change of topic before we finish up here. I just personally had a question, for myself and for other people who are not quite as familiar with the sort of internal industry. Your work with Tencent. So this is basically an audio company for video games. Can you kind of explain how that works?
Oh no, Tencent is kind of like a combination of Chinese Google meets Disney.
Okay.
So Tencent
Huge.
is either the largest or the second largest tech company in China. And they own most of the video game industry. They own
Okay.
like 5% of Activision Blizzard. They own all of Riot Games, League of Legends. They own 40% of Epic Games.
Wow.
Fortnite. They own Supercell. They own like 40
Okay.
studios around the world. They're a huge, huge player in the video game and music spaces and film, actually. They're the money behind movies like Wonder Woman 1984 and
Wow.
Huh.
and inexplicably in that list of 2 movies, It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. I have no idea who was putting together their portfolio and said, this is the other movie that we need to really push.
The Mr. Rogers one.
Mr. Rogers movie. I don't even know that they had Mr. Rogers in
That's what I was about to say. I was like, was
Right?
Mr. Rogers a thing like in China also?
But yeah, like they have this huge media catalog worldwide, covering tons of stuff. They're also the company behind the messaging app WeChat, which is basically the primary wallet app for China. Like China compared to America is like a decade ahead of us on like digitization of currency, where like most stores have like a virtual payment option. They have the equivalent of Apple Pay, except imagine if they had that everywhere you go. Like imagine if like beggars on the street took Apple Pay.
Wow.
That's kind of what it's like. Except instead of Apple Pay, it's WeChat Pay and Alipay, which is another company. But WeChat is the better one. You know.
Okay.
That's so tight.
Right.
And then you're a part of that, like where you
I'm the senior game audio coordinator for Tencent, working with the Lightspeed and Quantum Studios. So games like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds mobile games, massive games with millions and millions of players daily, are part of what's in my purview and what I work with. And I get to collaborate with what I like to say are the absolute best audio talent in the industry, both in-house and on the outsourced vendor freelance side. Because, you know, we're Tencent and we get to work with everyone.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's super cool to learn that. So I think that all the viewers are going to be pretty interested in that as well. So that's impressive.
I mean, if you want to know where I get the skill set to coordinate large projects with like 80 plus team members or whatever, there you go. I do the same thing with Tencent. Like it is literally the same type of work a lot of the time.
Impressive. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Problems, I coordinate things. I try and make people work together better.
Well, you do a great job from what I've seen. So
right.
Thank you so much.
I'm
very grateful to Tencent both for providing stability in what is an undeniably unstable time for the world, and for, I'm just going to shout them out because I'm so proud of this, actually being a rare tech company that kind of lives up to their motto, which in their case is tech for good. I recently asked Tencent if they would be willing, World's Fastest Rewind, a close friend of mine, Emmanuel Lagumbe, is an audio coordinator at Riot Games. Out of the goodness of his heart, he decided he was going to contribute 4 badges to Game SoundCon, just pay for it out of his own pocket to help, you know, underrepresented minorities, genders, things like that, to attend this work conference that has traditionally been very expensive. I decided to do the same thing inspired by him, and Tencent, basically unprompted, then reached out to me and said, hey, we're actually going to do the same thing as you, and we're going to sponsor as well. And what ended up happening is they are sponsoring all remaining Game Audio Network Guild scholarship applicants, period. So anyone who applied for a Gang Scholar scholarship to Game SoundCon this year is going for free, courtesy of Tencent.
Wow.
And they just decided to do that. It was just them trying to be good.
That's so awesome.
I really love that because I love working at a place that cares about our community.
Mm-hmm. Like really making the community better.
Because like they're not a game audio company. They're a video game company. They are a tech company. They're a global holding company. You know, there's so many other things they care about than helping out game audio development. Like it's such a tiny niche by comparison. It always feels wonderful seeing these absolute titans and massive companies stepping in to say, hey, we care. You know, it actually matters to us. It's awesome.
That's awesome. I like that a lot. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's fantastic knowledge.
yeah, right. I guess like one more question I have, like I've seen that you met like a ton of video game and anime music creators, right? And I guess like it's sort of hard to say like who's your favorite, but I guess like who are your favorite or top other music creators like in the industry?
Um, hmm.
Yeah, I bet that's a super hard one, right?
It is. I mean, there are people who I love creatively who I don't really know that well personally, and there are people I love personally who like I love them creatively, but like they're not my favorite artist of all time. Um, without clarifying who is what or which,
Yeah.
I would say that some of my favorite artists, for any number of reasons, have included people like Koji Kondo, Nobuo Uematsu, Masashi Hamauzu, Kevin Penkin, James Landino, Darren Korb, Manaka Kataoka, Manami Matsumae. Let me think. Yuki Hayashi, Takahiro Obata. Sorry about that. God, on and on.
Remember all the Japanese names.
Yeah.
Like that's.
And it's not like I'm fluent in Japanese or anything, so like I am struggling a little bit.
Oh, you're doing great. I'm like, I don't know if I could pronounce the names as well.
Jeff Williams, Dave Grohl. Maybe not a video game composer.
I mean, hey, great music guy, right?
Grant Kirkhope, David Wise. Probably every single composer who's ever touched a Nintendo project. Chip Tanaka. Sakiko Sakuragi. So many.
I gotta look up all the names, but
I love game audio. I love anime audio. And there are just so many people who I dearly adore who are close friends or who are just the most talented artists alive in that list of musicians alone. And I could go on for like hours more. Like there are so many people who deserve to get shouted out that I didn't mention just in that list.
Hey, dude, this was a great interview. Like I feel really hyped, you know, like in more confident, I guess, like in the power of what people can do. Like this is awesome, and it means a lot that you took some time to come talk to me and Matt about what you do, because
yeah, man, I appreciate
inspirational.
It, sure.
Dude, thank you so much. Godswill, I love you. I love
you too, man. I miss you too.
I hope that we can see each other sometime soon.
Super soon, right? And you know, definitely. I mean, I gotta see how I stand up against you in Smash. Like that has been like one of my biggest things. I'm like, okay, let me see if I can hold off at least 1 or 2 Smash games. You know, maybe more. Who knows? But
and Matt, it was great to meet you, man.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. It's great meeting you as well. Thank you.
Is there any last minute things you might like to plug in or anything you guys like to say at the end?
Just one, and it's really meant to intimidate you personally. Doria! There we go.
Oh, man.
I hate that guy. I need to get above. I hate how I keep landing in the arc. Anyways, I got you next time, right? Thank you so much for being on the podcast. You know, and also thank you, Matt, for joining on the podcast. Sorry that you had some webcam troubles, but I appreciate you staying on and asking good questions.
Appreciate it. Yeah, anytime. Absolutely.
For sure. Definitely we'll have you in more podcasts. And I guess the last thing I'd like to say, definitely listen to Mason's music. We'll be posting links to all these things. Mm-hmm. Support the Kickstarter, where it'll be helping out the animators, because we want everyone to be treated right. And that's all I want. You know, be excellent to each other. Go listen to those charity tracks. Are vinyl still available, or I guess like can you go buy the tracks still?
The My Hero Academia one won't be in stores or anything for a while until it actually prints and ships. The Cowboy Bebop one, I know that if you Google looking for it, you'll be able to find it on like some storefronts or things like eBay, things like that. There are enough floating around that people could probably find them secondhand. But yeah, no, you know, stay tuned and we'll keep making music.
I'm excited for what's to come, man.
I've got more stuff that I want to do. That's all I'll say.
Sweet. This was such a great interview, and I'm glad I got to know more about you and I guess the process of like what it took to make these things, because I was very curious. So
it is such a pleasure to chat. And yeah, no, thank you for having me. Thanks for inviting me, man.
Thank you, man. You're a dope man, and you're perfect for the podcast. And to everyone that listened, thank you guys. You guys are all super dope. As always, stay dope, and let's keep it going. Peace.
Peace.